Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to do this look for you guys today. Well, it's technically not a look. The look was pretty much done, but it's brows. I know y'all have been anxiously awaiting my brow tutorial and how I've kind of been doing my brows lately. And so that is what I'm doing. And just so you guys know, this is like the first of a series for you guys. I'm getting a lot of comments on like, how do you contour? What brushes do you prefer for foundation? How do you put on your blush? Does it go over your contour? All those kinds of questions. So what I decided to do was actually create a series for you guys that would actually address all of those things. So stay tuned. You're going to want to stay up to date on this because each week I'm going to be releasing a video in that series that kind of takes that back to basics makeup look that I did several weeks ago, which I'll link actually for you here. We're gonna take that and really break it down onto how I do things and how you can do things in the different techniques and styles. So in saying that, I do wanna show you guys, I have been practicing brows for a long time. They're my least favorite thing to do. And in saying that, as you guys know, I've said it 1,000 times on my channel, I have my eyebrows microbladed. I definitely would do it again, I think, for the most part, because it created shape for me. However, I did not get the result that I had hoped for. They're just not as easy to deal with as what I thought they would be, and that's the reason that I did that in the first place. So I'm actually looking at some other things, which I actually talk about in the video towards the end, so definitely wait for that. But I did want to show you guys, like, this is all the stuff that I have been literally using for the last several months, trying to figure out exactly what would work for my brows. They're just not fun to do. I don't want to spend 20 minutes doing this. I've used brow powder, I've used the gels, I've used the pencils, I've used every kind of brow product under the sun. And finally, I mean, I've even gone to using like a kohl pencil at one time, which I did like that a few weeks ago, other than sometimes it turned out a little bit too dark, but that actually worked really well. I mean, I've just tried everything from these markers to the pencils to the products that actually was really hopeful about this one, the Hydra Brow that I tried. It did not work really well. Yeah, so anyway, I show you guys all of this to let you know that I've been really trying to perfect something for myself for a while because my brows are just not simple for me to do, even after microblading, which sucks, to be honest. But I have really found something that I love, and I'm actually gonna show you guys how I do it. So you need two things to actually create your brows, and the only other thing that I do at the end is put a little bit of a gel on. So this has really simplified my look, and I just cannot wait for you guys to see this. I would love to see exactly what you try. So per usual, if you like what you're seeing here in the intro, you're definitely gonna wanna stay tuned because I'm gonna show you how to get it. And as usual, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Become a part of the Reformed Tomboy family. I'm loving putting out stuff for you guys and just showing you how I've just learned how to do things on my own, and that even if you don't think you're good at this stuff, you actually can be. So definitely subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can be up to date on all the stuff that I am releasing. And then of course, check out some other videos that I've kind of tagged along in here. If you're liking this makeup look, that's in the video later too, and in the description box. And then of course, my back to basics makeup that's on here too. So that's it. Let's go ahead and get started so you guys can actually see how I did these brows. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. So excited to finally show you guys this. I know I had talked a little bit about it on Instagram and all that good stuff, so let's get going. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is take any sort of spoolie actually and brush through your brows, brush the hairs. So brush them up. And obviously I have on a full face of makeup already other than my brows. So foundation is kind of inside that area, especially where the microblading is. Not a big deal. So I'll show you guys how I work through that. And then what we're gonna do is you guys are gonna wanna invest in one of these brushes. This is seriously the best eyebrow brush I have ever purchased. It was $20 from MAC. It's the MAC 263. They have several different eyebrow brushes, and this is the one that I really decided to get based upon watching some other girls use this. What I love is that, as you can see, it is like super thin, so I can really create those hair-like structures in the center of my face where I struggle to look natural. And the other thing is that once you put product on this, it gets really stiff, so it works really well. So I'm gonna show you guys. I actually was gonna show you originally, I'm a pomade girl, and after all the stuff that I've tried that you guys saw in the intro, I just go back to pomade because it works the best for me. Typically what I use is the Milani brow gel here, and this is in the shade Brunette. But yesterday when I went up to buy a new one, I actually saw this eyebrow gel from NYX. And I ended up purchasing this because I played with it at the store yesterday, and I was really surprised at how much better the gel is than the actual gel that's in here. So what I did was I bought this and I came home and tried it last night, and this is actually what I'm gonna show you guys with. Just because I thought the color payoff looked really nice, and the fact that it looked super natural was pretty cool too. So I'm gonna show you guys how I do it. Here we go. So take your, I would find like one of these candle lids if you can. This is obviously, it's disgusting. It's what I use for all foundation. This is the gel from last night, but I just am gonna put a little bit on this palette on a fairly clean spot. And as you can see, that's kind of what it looks like. It's not, I mean, it's pretty thick. It's not gonna go anywhere. But you can, again, you make this look really natural once you get going, and I'll show you how. So I'm gonna take my MAC brush and dip into that product and kind of like spread it around on that pot or on the pan, and then kind of clean my brush off. Okay. So one of the things that you want to make sure of is that it's super thin looking once you start this process. So we're gonna start by going up underneath first, giving the shape, and let's get started. I'm gonna lean in here so you guys can see, and also, actually, you know what? Hold that thought. Let me sit up on my knees so I can be taller, and that'll help. All right, so what you're gonna do is, I always, for me, because I wanna keep this area very thin here, as far as any lines, I don't start there. I kind of start where, like, for me, the natural hairs really begin to build a lot of bulk there, and that's where I start to make my line and give my shape. So I'm just very light-handed. That's another thing, guys. Be light-handed about this, because I think for me too, I'm heavy-handed in most things that I do, and that really does not help your brow situation if you're going in this with a heavy hand. So be feather light, be very artsy about it. So go in and start your line, and I'm just going to start softly flicking color, and I'm being very light-handed, but I'm also I'm wanting to get some color on there at the same time. So it's kind of a happy medium. Okay, I'm back. I had to raise my mirror up so that I could actually be in the camera and be in the mirror at the same time and see that. Here's how quickly, just so you guys know that this stuff dries down. I was literally gone for 20 seconds to grab something, and it's already super tacky. So it dries down very fast, need my towel, and very well. So that's what I was saying about this stuff. It's not gonna smudge on you if you're worried about that. It actually does a really good job of drying down. So let me throw some more on this. Here we go, so back up, we'll just kind of start over here. I start, like I had mentioned, right where my hairline actually gets a little bit fuller for my brow. And you're just gonna be very feather light and start making your line underneath. And I'm going to extend mine just a bit, because here's the other thing about my microblading on this eye. It does not match where my hairs naturally grow. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I have to have like a thicker end. Again, as I mentioned in the intro, it just didn't go as well as I had hoped as far as an overall end result. So I kind of have to work with what I got now. So anyway, wrong way. Don't turn your brow pencil around, or your brow brush around, that will really not look pretty. So I'm just gonna extend. I try to blend this area as much as I possibly can with a very thin line, just like that. So when I make the over part, I can just connect it and make it look nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back in and go on the top, and this is where I can get crazy with it, which is what I really love about this too, about this technique, is that if I want a very simplistic brow that doesn't have a lot of like arch and looks a little bit more natural, I can do that. But if I really want to arch it high and make it look like real hairs over there, I totally can. So today we're just gonna see what takes shape, because sometimes it's still one of those things, even though they look pretty similar every day, I can get a little crazy with the arches someday by accident and just have to roll with it. So we'll just see what happens. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is take my brush again, and I'm gonna start again right where that hair gets a little bit more bulky for me, and start pulling product up into that arch. And I always create a heavier arch no matter what. It's just some days it's a little higher than others, depending on what kind of look I'm going for. So now that I kind of have that shape going, then I can actually start to fill in that part so it doesn't look disconnected. And I'm going the shape that the hair, or the way that the hair grows, and I'm just making little lines, you guys, to make it look very natural. And then I just meet that line that I made earlier so it matches. And now I'll start working on that inner part. So this is the part you really want to be super light on. If you have a lot of hair here, it doesn't matter, but if you're like me and you don't, that's why. I just don't want it to look so dark and there's so much color compacted in that one area. I want it to look very, very natural. So I'm gonna go right back where the actual hair strokes are tattooed on my eyes, or on my brow rather, not my eyes. And I'm just going to lightly extend that line so it connects to the brow I've already started to make. And then I'll do the same thing up top. So I have a shape going now that actually is like some lines that you're coloring in a coloring book that you can kind of fill in. I'm gonna leave that alone and go on to the other eye. Holy cow, this stuff does dry down really fast. So let's do the same thing over here, and right where my hair gets a little thicker, that's where I'm gonna start my line. And start just making little strokes. Same thing here. We'll start to fill in, create an arch. If you get like a little cakiness going, it really wipes right off too. That's the other thing that's pretty cool. Because you know how these products are, these gel products can get like these little clumps almost in the product, and then it's right there in your eyebrow. So, okay, so now I'm gonna continue to just draw, we're gonna make that a little higher here to match the arch that I have going. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and fill in that underneath part here, again, to get the shape for the fronts. And this is, I don't think you guys can see this because I have foundation over it, but this is the brow where the microblading that's in front here, the hair strokes didn't stay. Like they didn't like, this one creates like a perfect line here that I can pretty much follow suit with. This one I have to fudge every single time. So that's also what makes this difficult. So I just have to be very light because I'm trying to make it look like they're supposed to look like sisters, not twins. I think I've said that for years to people, and it's still hard not to want to get them to look like twins. Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, I feel like it's one of those things where I want to make them twins and not sisters, even though it really should be sisters and not twins, because I see people with perfect eyebrows, or at least I think they look perfect. So I feel like mine don't look as symmetrical as what I want them to. So I'm constantly trying to make that happen. And really, it's just, the fact of the matter is, even your natural brows without any powder or anything else that you would put in them are not 100% symmetrical. So stop trying to get it perfect because they're not gonna be. But this is so you guys can see, I mean, this is really where the majority of the microblading took place for me, just because I have enough brow on the rest of my eyes to make this work, just not in the front. Okay, so this is the part you want to be, I'm sure, precise on and make it look as natural as possible. So put a little product on. My hands get a little bit dirty on this part because I actually soften my brush just a little bit more. And now what I'm gonna do is start from that bottom line that I've already created, and I'm just going to start flicking. Hairs in there so that it looks very soft. And you can see that it starts to look a little bit like hair, like actual hair strokes. And I have hair there, it's just not a lot, and it's kind of blonde actually. It's not as dark as the rest of my brow. So the goal here is simply to match what I got going on. It should look a little lighter. That's normal. That's what it's supposed to look like. Some people like the dark brow all the way over. If you like that, you brow how you want to brow. That's totally fine. I've done that. Sometimes I like it. Other times I'm like, oh my God, all I see is brow. So it just kind of depends on the mood. Okay. Where do I want to put my finger? Right there. So I always have to fill in this one little part right here where like no hair is. It's like a, dare I call it a bald spot? But maybe that's what it is. I don't know. So then I'll just go back in and kind of fill in any spots that I see. I like to leave my brows at a little bit of like an arch here so they both kind of go down like an angry brow. I really like that shape a lot. So I tend to angle mine a lot more than probably what they are naturally, but I dig that. I don't know why, I just like it. Okay, all right. So I think for the most part, from what I can see, although it is so bright in here, I never have all these lights on whenever I'm doing my actual makeup. I feel like sometimes I feel very blind in here when I'm filming for you guys. Okay, so there's that part is done. What I have done, I will go ahead and do this just because I'm showing you guys what I've been doing over the last couple weeks. But this is an eyebrow marker from NYX that I actually got in my Ipsy Glam bag last month. And so what I've been doing, if I don't think there's enough hair strokes that I like that look as natural, or maybe I just want a little more fullness, I will take this marker and actually just add a couple more, which I'm gonna do. I do wish this marker was a little bit more ashy, because it kind of has like a reddish tint to it. However, it does work. So I just haven't found, I went to look for this yesterday and I still only found this one. So I haven't looked on their site or anything, but if I can find a deeper one that has like a little more ash and a little less red, I think that's probably what I'll try. So let me show you guys how I do this. I don't do a lot. And these markers make, they can make thick lines, thin lines. It really just depends on how, oh, can you even see that? Sorry. It just really depends on how you are actually doing the strokes. So, okay, so I'm just gonna fill in just a couple. Usually I found that I spend more time on that left side because that's where that disconnected part is that I have to kind of make sure that line is pretty straight. Cool, that works. Okay, so then I brush through my brows one more time just to mix any product in that is a little bit cakey, or cakey is probably not the right word, but that isn't like smoothed out. So I will do that, and then I will take, this is another NYX product. I swear I'm not sponsored by NYX, at least yet. I will actually clean up anything that if I got too heavy in a certain spot, you can kind of take a concealer. You don't need a lot. I promise you don't need a lot. I use this because I have it, but I've used concealer many times. So I'll show you guys, let me grab the little brush. I'll show you guys just how I do this, just because I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I just see one little spot here that I just want to straighten out. And you know what? To make them look even, just conceal a little over there. So that's just a good thing to know. If you make a mistake, it's not going to stay that way. So I'll do that, and then I just pull the product down a little bit. The only hard part is I've already highlighted up here, so that's okay. If you use a concealer, just again be very light, because you run the risk of putting too much on when you use a concealer instead of just like a stick, because it doesn't put out a lot of product. The concealer is obviously a liquid. Okay, so there's that part, and then the last thing I do is I'm still using this or my clear brow gel. Either one is fine. It's just something for me that tames my brows down, and you know, kind of if we have a windstorm here, they won't move. So I like to just put a little of this in them and brush them kind of upward so they stay in place. And it looks to me like they turned out a little bit more natural today and not as archy as I have made them in the past. But that's it. So I know this, as a tutorial, it takes a little bit to show you guys, but I've really been mastering this in about 5 minutes now because I'm getting really fast with it. If I didn't say this, and I can't remember if I did, the main thing you want to do is start out with a very clean brush every single time. Don't let your brush get super hard. Make sure that it is clean so that you have good product and you're not putting like clumps of product on. I hope this helps you guys. For me, it's working great. I can finally have a little bit more confidence in my brows every day, which is nice. And I am considering right now currently about permanently tattooing them because my microblading, just as I mentioned, hasn't turned out as great as I thought. There is an artist down here. I'm actually working with the Aesthetic Center, as you guys know, for my microneedling, and there is a girl there that does permanent brows, and I've seen her work and it is amazing. And she said she could actually take all this pigment out and put new pigment in and make my eyebrows look completely natural, where I wouldn't even necessarily have to use product on them at all. So that's pretty exciting. That's kind of still in the works, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. If you like today's makeup look, I actually have a tutorial on how to get this exact look. Other than the lipstick, I think I went a little more pink today, which is weird because I'm not even like a huge pink fan, but apparently I have a lot of pink lipstick. But I will link that for you down in the description box, and you'll actually see it right above you, or maybe it's over here. I don't know. It's a little eye. That is there if you want to get this makeup look. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Become a member of the Reformed Tomboy family. I would love to have you here learning and getting just a little bit more girly with me each time we do a makeup tutorial. And then of course, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all the things that I'm doing every time I put a video out. So thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys in my next video.